Mr. Deity.
Hold up. Oh my God, it's moving so slow. It's killing me softly. It ain't even killing me softly. I don't know what's going on, but hey, this is Folk Tales for Grown Folks. And of course, you know this is Gye-Nyame Journey Radio. I am your host. I don't know what's going on, people, but hey, we still gonna kick it tonight. Listen, I am your host, Brother Hot Tim, and this is a Heart of a Simmer production. Where we strive. Woo, it's moving slow. Where we strive to always blow up those old paradigms. Alright, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put on my solo music. Not my solo, my freestyle music. And we're going to jump into a quick discussion. Then we're going to get into the folktale because tonight is my 200th episode. So hold on. Alright, it appears that that's moving a little bit faster, so we're going to turn that down a little bit. It's down a little bit too low. Don't want it all the way down. Don't want it off. Alright, so, tonight is the 200th episode of Folk Tales for Grown Folks. So that means we have done this over 200 times. We have covered 200 pieces of crystallized wisdom by our ancestor Aesop. Now, I would hope that people would join in as they join us. You know what I'm saying? I want people to share possibly some of their favorite folk tales or some stuff that they got from it before we jump into this. And if not, that's cool too. But the piece is, this is the 200th episode. And one thing that, you know, I might not be the best writer. I might not be the best speaker. But I'm pretty damn consistent, I will say. You know what I'm saying? We did this 200 times, right? So now, for those that don't know, in the mornings, most mornings, I do a show called AO, right? It stands for AEOOO, an empire of our own, right? And it's basically a news show where I go through the news. And for those that don't know, actually, Mr. Trailer let me know yesterday was an anniversary for, I don't know if we can call it an anniversary, but it marks the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated. And also today marks the date that some reporters or some activists broke into the offices and liberated some files from the FBI about the COINTEL program, bringing to the public the knowledge that the government, the U.S. government, was spying and subverting its own citizens. Right? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important that we stick with that, stick with those those ideas, right? Because the piece is the government worked to subvert its own people, and in working to subvert its own people, the one thing that we do know is that if we are not vigilant as citizens in this country, regardless of whether you love America, regardless of whether you hate America, if you live here, you need to really listen. We need to be vigilant members of the society, because if not, they will snatch our freedom from us, because they have already shown that they're trying to take our freedom from us. And if we look at what's going on as this society moves into, as some people call it, an oligarchy, you know what I'm saying? Or as it moved back to feudalism, because it seems that the money and the power is being concentrated in a smaller and smaller group's hands. And as it moves into those people's hands, right, we need to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Because we think it's bad now. It may get a lot worse, right? So, and what the COINTEL program showed us is that the government is working against those. Many of the people that might be on the call with me right now might have stories about being under surveillance, being persecuted, being denied opportunities because they had the spirit to talk up, right? And you know, in a sense, what Aesop Fables represent to me is one of our elders using the medium of his time to speak out. And because he did it so slickly, and he didn't say, you white racist cracker, he didn't say, you dumb nigga, you know what I'm saying? He didn't say none of that. What he said was, you dumb ass, and you slick fox, and you clumsy monkey, and you sheep-like beings. You know what I'm saying? And he used these metaphors that people can identify with, right? And so, I don't know where the hell I was going with that. I just felt like doing it. So, alright. But hey, tonight I'm joined by some marvelous folks. I gotta get to my applause, because these people deserve applause. And the music went all the way off on me. I do not know what's going on. It could be COINTELPRO. I told you they wasn't done with it. Alright, so tonight, first, I'd like to introduce, there it go again, why is it doing this to me? Alright, don't matter. First, we got Miss Janice Raleigh out of Detroit, Michigan. She joining us tonight. Give it up for her. Sorry, my audience. They're slow, they may have been drinking. And, you know, everything is moving slow. And also we're joined by Mr. Charles Traylor. So we about to get the folk real quick. But before we even go into the folk tale, Miss Janice, I'm gonna leave the mic open for you.
What did you just say?
Huh?
What did you just say? I didn't hear you.
No, I said before we go into the folk tale, Miss Janice, do you have something that you want to share with the folk?
I don't. Well, no, I don't. Go ahead.
You said, well, come on now. Don't be holding out on us.
No, I'm good. Let's do it. I want you to read the folktale. Really, I want to hear. Because I haven't read it today. I want to know what's up today.
Oh, girl, I got one for you.
Good.
This is a life changer. I posted on Facebook. It's a life changer. People don't even know what they be missing, because this one is dope. But I got another one, right? And I don't know. And I'm so, you know how sometimes you read ahead? I just happen to be looking on my list because what I do is I categorize each one of these folktales, or I have people categorizing them for me. And we have an event coming up at the school for self-determination. And I'm looking for a folktale to tell to the kids, because I got to be very careful, because you can't say ass with kids because they don't get it, right? You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking down the list for self-determination, and one that popped out to me was the bitch and her whelps. Now, the bitch and her whelps. This is an actual folktale. It is not. It's not a porno. It's an actual folktale, but it's one of those folktales that not only this one is a social political statement, a social political idea that when you really understand it, you see what's going on in the world, you see what happened to us in Egypt, you see what happened to us in West Africa, you see what happened to the Native Americans. I mean, y'all got to check that one out. I'm gonna stop right there, but you have to check that one out. But the one tonight is called The Kite and the Swans. But before we move into that, Mr. Trailer, I know you chomping at the bit, man. You got something you want to say to the folks out there?
Well, I'm just waiting for. I'm like, Dan, I'm just waiting for you to get into.
Well, I got to. I'm learning, man. I'm trying to keep them baited. I'm trying to build up the tension, right, man. Because this one is dope.
I mean, just like my second one, I just wanted to hear from some of the people who have been on, on a lot of those other just to get some idea of, what they have gained in knowledge and wisdom.
Well, hey, maybe they'll write it down or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But hey, because right now it's YouTube. I'm waiting for some other people, but if they don't show, we kick it anyway, right? Here we go. The Kite and the Swans. Now, I need to stress for those people that are new, Brother Devin brought to my attention because I ran into a lot of folk tales from Aesop with the word kite. I thought it was the actual kite, but a kite actually is a bird. It's a bird of prey. It looks like a hawk, but it's not a hawk. I think it's a little bit smaller than a hawk. So, wow, that was loud. All right, so here we go. Kites of olden times, as well as the swans, had the privilege of song, but having heard the neigh of the horse, they were so enchanted with the sound that they tried to imitate it. And in trying to neigh, they forgot how to sing. Oh. Wait a minute. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I had to put on an explosion. I'm gonna read that one more time. Then I'm gonna go into the moral. It says, Kites of olden times, as well as the swans, had the privilege of song, but having heard the neigh of the horse, they were so enchanted with the sound that they tried to imitate it. And in trying to neigh, they forgot how to sing. And the moral is the desire for imaginary benefits often involves the loss of present blessings.
Read that again. The what?
The desire for imaginary benefits often involves the loss of present blessings. Now, if that is not a message sent straight from the ancestors to black folks, I don't know what is. It couldn't be clear. I mean, for me, it couldn't be clear. I read this one, I said, whoa, not only for my life, but as a group. Oh my God, this one right here. Do y'all want me to jump in on it, or anybody want to get it? What's going on?
When I first read it, and it comes out my feet, because as you stated, man, it couldn't be. There was no clear message, that was sent, from our ancestor Aesop, and then that fable right there, it says it all about, the journey of black folks, that we've always looked at what we've identified with our oppressor, so much that we long to be near and dear, to our oppressor, so much so that we saw some imaginary benefits of being integrated and assimilated into their culture and their morals and their ways, that we abandoned the most precious, gifts, that we had. And first and foremost was our freedom to think, as a group, as we please. We left the segregated sanctity of being able to do for ourselves for integrated slavery, and we thought that everything that we saw them with, we wanted to be so much like them that we didn't forgot who we were. We gave up our whole identity. We lost our black mind trying to chase after those imaginary benefits, that really came out to be a mirage, oasis of, I'm trying to think of the other word, an oasis of, I just can't get the other word out of it.
In a desert of despair, because oasis is a rest spot. So I think
right.
Maybe what you might be trying to say is a desert. We gave up.
Yeah.
We gave up paradise.
No, you're not an oasis, a desert of despair.
Man, now first off, I've heard a horse name, but they call it name for a reason. It's not singing. It's a horse making a sound. But the swan and the kites had a beautiful song according to the ancients. And they gave up something beautiful, trying to imitate something ugly. I mean, we got kids. I mean, and what was cold-blooded about these proverbs is that they're layered, man. And it's like, this one could be, it's not, like I always say, they're not just for kids. Because a child could get a lesson out of this, or a large group. You know what I'm saying? Giving up something beautiful, something that comes from you, something that vibrates, that moves up through your soul, for something ugly and outside yourself, something that's not in your nature, something that Aesop described as imaginary, an illusion. You know what I'm saying? We gave up our wealth. We gave up our black mind for a white ghost, for a white image. You know what I'm saying? And we're paying for it now. We've been doing it. We slowly been doing it probably since maybe the late 40s, early 50s. We've been totally giving it. I mean, because it's incredible to me when you look at it. Right when we left the plantations, you know what I'm saying? We started building. Somewhere in between World War II and now, well, I ain't even gonna say now, World War II and the 60s, 65, 67, well, let's say 70s, we lost our goddamn mind. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we literally lost our minds, because people blame it on slavery. But when I'm looking, my view of history, and it's just my view, coming out of slavery, we still maintained some semblance of who we were. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't totally pursuing those images and those imaginations. We was trying to put our families back together. We was trying to rebuild our minds. We was probably working on our emotions. But something happened as we moved into these cities and start wanting to be with them. And I'm like, oh my God, I read this and I said, oh man. And then I'm looking at how, even in my professional life, you know what I'm saying? Even in my professional life, sometimes I may even look at some of the innovations that they supposedly have, and I'm giving up me. I'm giving up things that come from me for that. I'm giving up fucking illusion. I'm giving up what's real, what I'm able to master, what I'm the best at, for illusions.
We are natural. I look at it also from the perspective that in our most natural state, we are the kindest, nicest, lovingest, gentlest, caringest, compassionate, sensitive, sharing people on the face of the earth. That's us when we are natural. We're in our natural self. And we bought this delusion that took us away from our natural self. Even with our women, naturally beautiful, but will, fall for this imaginary, beauty that white folks have created for us to take our women away from their natural beauty.
And take men away from how we are supposed to be naturally as well.
Exactly.
Now, because you said all that.
Wait,
right?
let me just say this though, as the only woman on the call. I think that, I don't mean this disrespectfully at all, but I think that both of you are really missing how much weight the definition of beauty to a woman is connected to what they believe men believe. And so because I know for a fact that many of my sisters who are adding hair and adding lashes and adding butts and adding breasts, they are doing that not because they think they hate themselves. They're doing it because they believe they think that's what y'all want. They think that's what y'all think is attractive. And part of their belief comes from this constant imagery that we are all exposed to, that sort of intimates what a man wants. It takes an incredibly strong sister with a great deal of self-knowledge and self-love to understand, I'm just going to be me, and a man will love all of me. Because when you do all those things to yourself, when the lights come on, if he's close to you, he's going to see that it's not real. And then what do you have?
So in a sense, we all been chasing illusions. So, I mean, because it's
and then the other thing I want to say, because, Hatim, much of my study, both undergraduate and graduate, was in fact on the institution of slavery. And the reason why I will never study that anymore, because it was changing both me and my perception of my people. Because what I'm saying to both of you is that when you talk about, brother, you talked about us being in our natural state. We, as the progeny of those who were enslaved, we are the descendants of those who chose and made a decision to survive.
That's right.
But we also are the extension of those who perished. And so when we came out of slavery, while we did begin to build schools and search for our family, we were seriously a people who were traumatized, who were, our insistence on education and a reconnection with family was about our understanding that we needed to connect to what was familiar to us. And as the years passed and we were not successful at that reconnection, then we necessarily, as humans do, began to accept what we were out of emotional necessity. And the problem now is we have multiple generations of people who don't know the story of slavery, who don't know that we are people who were traumatized. The fact that we are a community in this nation that pays very little attention to issues related to mental health speaks to the truth of what I'm saying. We need help and don't even know it. Just like I said before, for many of us, as long as we can buy a pair of Jordans, we tell ourselves everything is okay.
Everything cool.
Mm-hmm.
I got me a new pair.
And so I'm saying that the constant morphing that we've done, that when you really look at it is a human response, has really transformed us into a group of people that are, we're like not a whole lot of, I don't know what we are in terms of.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something, sister. For years, I've always said pretty much something you just said. Mm-hmm. You know, we have suffered from post-traumatic slave disorder.
That's right. That's right.
And we are sick.
Yep.
We are sick.
Yep.
And we all need our own psychologist.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying we all need our own psychologist.
I agree.
I don't know if you're familiar with. I know how Tim is familiar with this documentary, 400 Years Without a Comb.
Yep.
I mean, and so you know that documentary, you
yep.
know, pretty much just shapes our whole self-esteem.
Yeah,
it's all about, you know, our self-esteem, and we've been, you know, tricked into believing that everything is about, you know, the way we are perceived, the way the way people see us, and we try to fit people's perception of us.
We try to fit the wrong people's perspective of us. We
exactly,
haven't decided on what beauty is for us. So the sisters are trying.
But that's what happens to people. That's what happens to people when they don't know who the hell they are.
Because like for example, when Charles went into the description of us, I started thinking about this video because y'all know I'll be vegging out on this on YouTube, and there is, I can't remember the name of the station, but it was they do some brilliant. There's some brilliant informational videos on YouTube, and it was one YouTube I saw that was called "The Weakness of Our Strengths," and the whole piece talked about where one of the issues that we have when getting along with people is that the very things that attract us to the people, oftentimes we don't recognize that comes with a deficit on the other end. So the same thing that attract, like he went to a description about an author who was cool with other people, and people loved him because of his writing, because his writing was very detailed, and he would go into great detail in his writing, and he had a systematic way of writing, and that was excellent for his writing. But this same technique he used in writing, the same thing that drove him to write like that, drove him to live his life like that. So you reading this book, you could fall in love with him, but when you got to know him, he got on your goddamn nerves because he couldn't make up his mind. He wanted to make sure everything was right. He wanted to keep his options open. He wanted to explore all the different directions that y'all could go. So just setting a dinner date with this dude was a headache. So he couldn't keep good relationships. But the same thing that caused him to turn people off in a personal relationship was the same thing that made him successful as a writer. And I think a lot of times we don't look at our strengths. We don't look at the weaknesses within our strength. Because if you look at all the positive adjectives that you use to describe us, we never look at the negatives that come with those or the shadow sides of those. We are a people who have denied our shadow because along with us being the nicest people, we were also some of the cruelest because we taught these mugs how to do what they do. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, we taught them the art of war. We perfected the art of war. On one of my shows, in one of my research projects, I researched a dude by the name of Lycurgus. Lycurgus was a dude that formulated the whole system around the Spartans. He was, in a sense, the father of the Spartans. All the Spartans that we see in the movies, they all wanted to be like Lycurgus. Lycurgus was somebody who went around the Middle Eastern world, even though there can't be no goddamn middle. He went all around that area, and one of the major places that he stopped to learn about how to put a culture together was in Egypt and in other parts of Africa. They ain't say other parts of Africa, but he went into Egypt and other parts of Africa to go and study how to put together a culture and a warrior society. And the thing that he pulled up out of there was, boom, that warrior tradition that they had in there. You know what I'm saying? We look at it, we look at the kindness in us, but we don't look at the fact that we are warriors. And when you have that warrior energy, if it's not directed, it will turn in on yourself. That's why we have rites. That's why we had rituals. That's why we had celebrations and certain things and certain events at certain times. Because I can agree that we are, in a sense, insane. But I think the insanity comes more from us not directing the energy that's in us. Because we done forgot or we don't know that we need to be directed some of this stuff. All of the rituals and all the things that we act on right now in our lives come from others. We're following others' illusions. We're neighing like the horse rather than singing like the kite or the swan used to. And now we done forgot how to sing.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, you're right. And you know something else, man, is that we believe everything that somebody else has written about us. We put everything into, if it's in print and we read it and it's about us, we believe it. You know, and I say that to say that, you know, I understand, you know, the whole, you know, Willie Lynch, formula and everything. But you know something, a lot of, you know, when you hear black folks, we know about Willie Lynch, but you know what? I think the fact that we accepted Willie Lynch and the letter as a true depiction of us as a people, we made it, I think to some degree, we made it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And that's one of our powers, man. The power of belief. You see what I'm saying? The power of, I mean, really, that's been, that we have, in a sense, believed, we have pumped the power of believing into everything that's affecting us. I mean, our kids believe the myths that have been told about them, as far as them being the whatever they're doing right now. Us as professionals, we believe what they told us about how we're supposed to be, and we enact that. As a matter of fact, I honestly believe that this whole American dream is kept alive by our belief. The financial system is kept alive by our belief. That's how powerful it is for us. Because I want you to think about this. Everybody in the world know that our currency is no good, but everybody is still addicted to the currency. And I believe that's because we here. You know what I'm saying? I believe that's because of us.
Because somebody else's reality is stuck in between our ears. Somebody else's reality of us is stuck in our ears.
Somebody's
right
name.
Between our ears. Yeah, right between our ears, up in our brain, up in our mind.
Somebody's name is ringing in our ear, and we're trying to imitate it because
no question.
I don't know if the kite. I don't know if the kite has a song anymore. I don't even know if the swan has a song anymore. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I mean, because that moral is that the end of the story is so potent. Because at the end of the story, it talks about how they forgot, and basically that's and part of madness is forgetting who you are. You start acting as if you were something else or someone else. And I think, and I know for a fact that's what we're doing. Because Because my piece is, man, how can I put it?